10 traits of people who have no friends. Let's get right into it. Trait 1. They feel comfortable being alone. You know how some people treat being alone like it's a punishment? For them, silence is awkward, and an empty weekend feels like a crisis. But for people with no friends, or rather, those who've learned to live without them, solitude isn't scary, it's soothing. They've made peace with their own company. The quiet doesn't bother them, it recharges them. When they're alone, there's no need to perform, no small talk, no pretending to be interested in things they're not. It's just them and their thoughts, and honestly, that feels safer than being surrounded by people who don't really see them. They're not antisocial, they just don't depend on others to feel whole. While most people chase connection to avoid loneliness, they have discovered something deeper, the ability to enjoy solitude without feeling empty. To them, alone doesn't mean lonely, it means free. Trait 2. They rarely start conversations. If you've ever seen someone standing quietly at a gathering, phone in hand, pretending to scroll, chances are they're not shy. They just don't know how to begin. People who have no friends often want connection, but initiating it feels like walking a tightrope. What do you say? How do you sound casual without sounding forced? What if they judge you, misunderstand you, or, the worst one, just don't care? So, instead, they stay quiet. It's not about arrogance or disinterest. It's self-protection. Silence feels safer than risking rejection. They hope that maybe, just maybe, someone else will notice their quiet presence and start the conversation for once. But usually no one does. That's how isolation becomes routine, not because they don't want people, but because starting feels impossible. Trait 3. They have invisible walls. On the surface, they look like everyone else. They laugh at the right times, nod when people talk, and maybe even seem friendly. But emotionally, there's a wall, invisible but solid. These walls aren't built overnight. They're the result of repeated disappointments, friends who left, confidences that got betrayed, trust that was taken for granted. Each time someone hurt them, another brick went up. Now, even when they meet good people, those walls stay up by reflex. It's not that they can't connect, it's that connection feels dangerous. Vulnerability has consequences, and they've paid the price before. So, they smile, keep things surface level, and retreat the moment something gets too real. It's lonely, sure, but it feels safe. Trait 4. They live inside their own minds. People who have no friends don't always feel lonely because their inner world is busy. Their mind is their playground, or sometimes their battlefield. They think. A lot. About everything. They analyze conversations they never had, imagine scenarios that never happened, and replay moments they wish went differently. It's easier to stay in their thoughts than deal with unpredictable people or complicated emotions. Their imagination becomes their companion. Books, music, games, even random daydreams, all of it fills the gap where friendship might have been. In a way, they've built a world that no one else can enter, but also one they never have to leave. The problem? The longer they stay inside that world, the harder it gets to come out. Trait 5. They don't trust easily. Trust is supposed to be natural, something you offer freely until someone breaks it. But for people who've been burned too many times, trust isn't natural anymore. It's an obstacle course. They've learned that not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. Some people only come close to see what they can take. So, they test, observe, and keep a mental distance. They listen carefully, but reveal little. Even when someone seems genuine, there's a part of them whispering, "Be careful." You've seen this before. It's exhausting, but it's also survival. When your heart's been mishandled enough, you start treating it like fragile glass, guarded, hidden, and handed over only when you're really sure. And honestly, that kind of caution makes sense when you've had to pick up the pieces too many times. Trait 6. They feel like they don't belong anywhere. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and instantly feel out of place, like everyone got the memo except you? For people who have no friends, that feeling never quite goes away. No matter where they are, work, school, even family gatherings, there's a quiet sense of detachment. It's like watching life happen through a window. They smile, nod, maybe even laugh, but deep down they're thinking, I don't really fit here. It's not that they're unlikable. It's just that they feel different. Maybe they think too much, feel too deeply, or struggle to fake enthusiasm for things that don't matter to them. Over time, That sense of not belonging becomes their baseline. They stop trying to fit in, because trying hurts more than being alone. Trait 7. They fear judgment. Every conversation feels like walking on eggshells. Every word, every tone, every expression, it all feels like it's being analyzed. So, they stay quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because saying something feels risky. They worry that people will misinterpret their intentions, mock their opinions, or think they're weird. The irony is, this silence often makes others think they're aloof or uninterested, which pushes them even further into isolation. Their inner critic is relentless. It replays every tiny social moment on loop, pointing out what they should have said or done differently. Over time, silence becomes easier than the post-conversation anxiety that follows, and so they choose quiet, not because they don't care, but because it hurts less. Trait 8. They've been deeply hurt before. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to stop having friends. That choice, or rather that withdrawal, usually comes after pain. Maybe they were betrayed by someone they trusted completely. Maybe they opened up, only to be laughed at, ghosted, or used. Once you experience that kind of hurt, it changes how you approach people. You stop chasing connection and start protecting yourself. They've learned that not everyone deserves access to their heart. So, now that they give less, they share less, and eventually they stop expecting others to understand. It's not bitterness, it's self-preservation. But beneath that guarded exterior, there's still a quiet hope that someday someone will prove it's safe to open up again. Trait 9. They hate shallow relationships. People with no friends aren't friendless because they're incapable of connection. They're friendless because they crave depth in a world that's allergic to it. They don't care about small talk, gossip, or, "What did you watch last night?" Conversations. They want to talk about real things, dreams, fears, meaning, the kind of stuff that actually matters. But most people find that intensity uncomfortable. So, instead they keep things light, while the loner quietly retreats, feeling unseen. They'd rather be alone than sit in a crowd that talks but never connects. They've seen how quickly best friends can become strangers when convenience fades. So, they choose solitude over superficiality, not out of arrogance, but out of integrity. If it isn't real, it isn't worth it. Trait 10. They're healing in silence. Here's the truth that most people miss. Those who seem to have no friends aren't necessarily broken. Many of them are simply healing. After enough hurt, disappointment, and disconnection, they retreat, not to hide forever, but to rebuild. They're piecing themselves back together quietly, learning who they are without the noise of others. It's not loneliness, it's recovery in disguise. They're figuring out their boundaries, their values, their self-worth. And when they do return, when they finally open up again, they'll attract people who meet them at that same healed frequency. So, if you see someone who's alone, don't pity them. They might just be in the middle of becoming whole. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.